hip shooting. It's kind of a, you know, documentary. You just shoot from the hip and guesstimating. Pretty fun. Alright, what's up guys? I wanted to show you guys, when I go on a walk, I have my X100F that I did a video on this. It's been like 2 years now, where I took it around New York and photographed people. So hopefully I'll do some of that today. What I do with this camera, this is kind of like my running gun. You know, it's smaller, you can put it in a jacket pocket if you need to. I use this for like street photography. It's just interesting moments of life, and doing what I'm doing can kind of feel a little creepy. I think that's why they call it like you're stealing people's soul. Well, or that was an old Indian thing, right? So they thought photos would steal your soul. So I jokingly say I'm stealing souls sometimes. Brighten this up a little bit. There you go. So photographing people on the street or in a public space is part of your First Amendment rights. It's considered like a freedom of expression. You have a right to document whatever's happening in the world. What I do is I do what's called hip shooting. So I take this thing and I kind of just hold it. In fact, I did a picture of myself in a window, and that's me walking by the window shooting it, get my settings right? So I would just find the angle, and you just kind of have to guesstimate where it is. So what I want to do is go through these with you. So I'm just kind of catching people on the street, and of course I do some building shots. You gotta do some good building shots in New York. This is me walking through one of the squares with the birds. What I did was I just saw these group of birds. They were all chowing down something, and I just started walking towards it. And I had my camera ready, and I just started. I mean, I actually didn't shoot that fast. I don't have it on like a repetitive shot. I basically just have like press the button, and then, you know, there's that like focus, that second. So it's like, and sometimes I can just feel it in my hand. I can feel when it clicked. This was when I was running. I was actually running through the city. It was just something magical about having these birds flying in the air, and then especially with the buildings. So then I just kept walking through the city. I went pretty quickly. You know, the trick is to make sure you're getting like a person in focus. So I photograph people. If you're just watching this and you haven't seen me before, just know that what I would consider like my specialty would be more portraiture, more what I call portrait stories, right? So I do it kind of like in that fashion story style, where you photograph somebody and then you change the background and you change the look, or you know, so it's an interesting, that's what a story is, right? So you little, you know, interesting series of images. And then also, I'm on the trip I'm on right now is with my sister, and there's something great about catching life the way it is, right? So there's no setup. I'm just really just documenting this. But this is documentary street photography. Back to this, you know, you kind of have to appreciate it for what it is. It's just documenting life, you know? This guy is literally selling drugs. He was literally selling weed. And then check out that guy. I wish I would have seen the dude next to him as I was walking, because he is a bad looking dude, man. That's somebody I want to kind of get in front of the white background. A radio he has? It looks like he has a little radio. Yeah, it's a boom box, but he is just like a bad looking dude. You can't even see his face. I'm kind of feeling these street photos right now. Man, look at this woman with the bags. See, she's a little out of focus, but kind of cool. She's in focus in another shot. This woman walking with the TD sign in the background is really cool. Look at her holding her like, and I think the reason I photograph her is like, she didn't have a mask on. This one's cool with this, you know, here's one guy with a mask holding like a white box. I was walking really quick at this time. I was rushing to get to a friend's place to pick up a white background. I have a friend, Eric, was saving it for me. Then you got the woman with the cart and the green thing. That's pretty cool. This woman with the mask down and the red on her jacket. I'd rather meet the person, talk to them, engage, get different reactions, things like that. This woman in the white with the dog, she's not quite in focus. And then it's always cool to just document the world of overconsumption that we live in. I mean, some of these are really cool, like the shapes and the, oh, okay, so this guy standing on the corner. There's a white car behind him. He is just in black. Now it's at an angle. I wouldn't consider this like a good angle. Usually if you're gonna angle it, like angle it. And if you're gonna try and have it straight, you're gonna have it straight. So I'm probably gonna fix this in post. But he's also very centered. I'm not a big fan of like super centered shots. I mean, of course, if you're doing it properly, like I don't even like shooting myself centered in this. Okay, so this is the morning. That was all yesterday. So this morning, I mean, it's just a great time, that soft light in the morning. I mean, I got this kid on the street, but it's not quite in focus, you know? If I would have taken a second, like I was literally just rushing through this crowd of people, caught that. I wish this kid was more in focus, but not quite. But these were people just in line. Looked like they were in line to get like a COVID shot or something. I was just on the move. I wasn't stopping. Ideally, I would stop and just be like, hey guys, you know, hey, can I take a shot? But I just did not do that this morning. I do like these building shot with this man walking across, and then also the one with the cyclist coming through. These are, you know, in the mix. It's pretty tough. You're gonna get a lot of blurry ones doing this type of shot. Oh, and then this old guy walking with the gray sweater, I mean the navy sweater, looking down. This one's cool with the two guys with the red jacket. It looks like it could be like a cool shot about an iPhone. Everything's in motion, but the iPhone's in focus. These are like those happy freaking accidents. Women crossing the street, kind of cool. Tan coat, pretty cool shot. And then sometimes it's pretty crazy. I mean, the way you're holding your camera, like people can't really tell that you're taking a photo, but I'm always self-conscious. I always think they know. I like these little motion shots where the guy's walking with their coffee. You know, I'd prefer it to be a little more in focus, but still cool. I want to go over the rights for those who are concerned or curious. But basically, yes, you can photograph anything you can see in an environment. This is all covered underneath your First Amendment rights. Apparently there's some kind of like gray area. Some things aren't so concrete, apparently. I don't think these kind of laws should be changed whatsoever. There's a reason for them. For instance, if you wanted to document, you know, you can say somebody's committing a crime or say they're doing something to you or to your home or to your property, you should be able to document in order to press charges for later if you want. Makes sense. And that's what makes this such a great country, right? So you can photograph anything that you can see in a public place. So you can also photograph in a business. If they don't have posting that says absolutely no filming or no video, you can actually assume that it's okay. I personally like to ask a lot of times. In fact, I do a lot of different public events and I just want to avoid the issue of dealing with somebody that's upset. So most of the time, it'll save you a lot of headache to go ahead and just get it out of the way, be honest with people, say, yo, I'm doing this, are you cool with it? Depending on your attitude, whenever you're meeting somebody on the street or any kind of situation, your vibe is going to translate. If you act sketchy, they're gonna think you're being sketchy. So when you approach somebody, you have to just exude enthusiasm, exude love and excitement. That's the best advice anybody can give you or me, I think. You know, there's always other factors depending on what you're doing, but in general, when dealing with people, enthusiasm is infectious. Problems are what we grow from. Failures are what we grow from, right? So I'm gonna fail a lot today. I know I am. I'm gonna go and we're gonna approach some people on the street. Sometimes it can be helpful to assume that they're gonna say no. And then once you do it a few times, it starts getting easier, right? You're not gonna allow that to affect your feelings. And that's one of the things we learn in yoga, right? Is to not allow the outside circumstances of the world to affect your inner state. Be the change you want to see in the world. And it comes down to your emotions and comes down to not allowing circumstances to affect the way you feel. Not allowing what somebody else says of you to affect your inner state, your positive state. If you are allowing that, if you are walking around in a bad mood and upsetting other people around you and putting out negative vibes and creating negative situations, putting people in a bad mood, you're allowing outside circumstances to affect your nature, to affect your mood. And that's what we call a victim, right? So are you a victim? Hopefully that helps you if you are out there pursuing jobs, if you're out there pursuing whatever it is your passion is. What else was I talking about? Okay, so back to the First Amendment thing. I know I got off on a tangent for a second, but I wanted to read you guys a few things here. So more people have cameras and phones, and more people are posting all kinds of stuff, which is actually good. I think the idea that more people are filming, more people are photographing, there's more honest people now. People know that there's a good chance that whatever they do is filmed. So odds are it's making the world a safer place because people are aware of this. You know, I think. Okay, just got a text from Michelle. We're about to go run. For the most part, your right to take photographs and video in public places in the United States is protected under the First Amendment under free speech. This includes snapping pictures of your favorite monument while you're on vacation or taking part in a little citizen journalism. That's what I did this morning. I did a little citizen journalism. It's not as cut and dry as you think. So your basic right is pretty simple. If you're in a public place and you can see it, you can shoot it. This means as long as you're in a public location, you can legally take almost any picture. However, if you're using a telephoto lens or a parabolic microphone or a hidden camera to get a shot of the private property when you're standing in public property, you might have an issue with someone on that property as an expectation of privacy. I'm obviously mainly concerned with photographing people on the street and the hip shooting that I was doing, and that's completely covered underneath the First Amendment, so we're safe. For a few more thoughts of this, just so you know, if you see an accident you want to record, a public servant misconduct, or even the TSA checkpoints, you can document them as long as you're not interfering with the police or medical operations. As for the Department of Justice is concerned, you're also allowed to shoot video or still shoots of police officers provided they're on public land. Videotaping police officers is still a little tricky situation without a concrete ruling, but the courts have leaned towards protecting your right to film officers. Cut to Eric getting arrested on the street. Okay. Just because some places are public doesn't make them legal for photography. For instance, a bathroom is a public place, but people have an expectation of privacy in the bathroom. So, photos are typically not a good idea. This is also the case with anywhere else people might expect privacy, including inside places like AA meetings or doctor's offices. The same goes for photo of people in private space where they have an expectation of privacy, even if you're on public property. So, if you can see in your neighbor's window from the sidewalk while they're showering, you can't take that picture, even though you're on public property. And you might want to tell your neighbor to close their curtains. This general rule is basically if you didn't want someone covertly taking a picture of you in a semi-private place, it's probably not a good idea to take your own picture. These rules may vary from state to state, so check your local laws before you're labeled a peeping Tom. Let me know in the comments any other interesting information around the First Amendment and photographing people in public places. So yeah, actually we're gonna go try and photograph some people in some public places today. So let's see what happens. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support me, I have some t-shirts that I just designed. There's a link in the description. My main t-shirt is the geometry of light. It's my logo. It's the symbol I use for both my photography and my breath work. And I hope that it will remind people to appreciate life, embrace suffering, but also take time to find the light within. Use the code GETLIT10 for 10% off. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share it, hit the bell, all those things, and we'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, always go to class.